All right, this is Dave from Black Leader Analysis, and I wanted to talk to you about voting early in DC. So I just got done voting early in DC. Turn on some more light. So I just got done voting early in DC. Went down to Judiciary Square. Walked in. Took about 5 minutes, no line. I'm telling you, voting early is the best thing you can do. Makes it move out quicker, and it's just way easier for everybody. I'm a Ward 6 guy, so I'll go through who I voted for in this election. So for delegate to the House of Representatives, I voted Green Party, Natalie Stracuzzi. I just voted Green Party for that because I just don't like how the Democrats are doing things right now. So I figured I'd vote Green Party in any part of the ballot I could. There's a good talk on this between Michael Eric Dyson and Eddie Glaude, and they talk about how some voting strategies for the regular person. And I think everybody should have a voting strategy, not only big party bosses or somebody, but just regular people. So one thing I liked about Eddie Glaude, he said that if you are in a firmly blue area, blue state, blue district, it's okay to vote third party because it sends a message to the Democrats to be more left-wing and get them away from neoliberalism without really changing the balance of the Senate or the House. Now, Michael Eric Dyson disagreed with the point because he didn't believe black people could even look at a map and tell if their area is firmly blue or firmly red. But I didn't agree with Michael Eric Dyson on that one because it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, he just doesn't even believe we have enough sense to think even a little bit about how we're voting. Like, we're just complete morons. But Eddie Glaude, he had a really good point of understand if your area is firmly blue or firmly red or if it really is a swing district. And then if it's firmly blue and you want the Democratic Party to move to the left, go ahead and vote Green Party. Or if it's firmly red and the Dems don't have a chance anyway, you might as well vote Green Party. And that helps to build up a strong left-wing movement, and that gives the Dems a reason to move to the left. Like, if there's no opposition from the left, there's no reason for them to run or move to the left. So for mayor, I voted for Dustin Cantor. That's because I actually met the guy, got to talk to him. He seemed like an up-and-up guy. I kept following him on social media. He seemed pretty active. And he seemed like he had pretty good solutions for things, well thought out. So I went ahead and voted for him. He's an independent, so I didn't vote for Merrill Bowser because she's basically just in bed with the developing companies and helping them gentrify, which is eventually going to lead to there not being a black mayor in DC anyway. So the next part was chairman of the city council. That was Phil Mendelson. Actually, that was recommended from Kim Ford. I did her social media for her campaign, and she talked about how much she liked Phil Mendelson, so I went ahead and voted for him. For District of Columbia, at large, I went ahead and voted for Daniel Schwartzman. And independent Dion Reeder, which is a guy named Dion, but I went ahead and voted for those two guys. David Schwartzman, I actually followed him a little bit on social media, YouTube. He had a lot of really good, strong, left-leaning policies, so I figured he was all right. For the Ward 6 member, I voted for Charles Allen. Allen had a program, started a program in D.C. to where if you are poor and you need children's books, the district will just send you a children's book every week or 2 weeks to get your family reading, and I thought that was really good literacy. Carl Racine, of course I voted for him because he's one of the people suing the president right now. So I had to give him some support. Senator, I went ahead and voted for Green Party, Eleanor Ori. And the last one that was contested was a school board. And I went for Joe Whedon on that one. So Jessica Soter was the opposition, and she's very much pro-charter schools. And so I read her defense of charter schools, and the defense was all just personal stories she had. Like, she had no stats or anything like that. So basically, she worked at a charter school. The one she worked at was good, so she's just like, we should just have charter schools. And we all know that any private organization or corporation, like these charter schools are, because of Masterpiece Cakes, can refuse service to somebody for any ideological reason. So in that case, you're going to have a harder time. And there's already studies to show that black kids are more likely to get suspended, more likely to have problems, get kicked out of school. And it's even easier to kick them out of a private charter school than it would be a public school. At least a public school, if they kick your kid out and it's unfair, you can at least sue the school board, and get something. But, with these private institutions, they'll just say, I'll just choose another school. So, yeah, it's really not a good look to have these charter schools. But getting back to strategy, I really think people should look at a man named Eddie Glaude. Because like I said, he tells you to look at your district in your area, see if the race is firmly blue or firmly red. If it's not a swing election, go ahead and vote third party to get the Democrats to move to the left if you want them to move to the left. Now, if you're a Republican, I don't see how much further to the right the Republicans can get. But as far as the Dems, if you want them to move to the left, you have to put some money and some energy and some votes behind left-wing parties, because you're not going to get any change to the Democratic Party otherwise. One thing that was big in the 60s for the civil rights movement is you had a really strong labor movement. So because you had this really strong labor movement, you had reasons for Democratic politicians to move and take left-wing policies. And that helped the civil rights movement, because they understood that if they could leave and go to a Labor Party or a Communist Party, then that would weaken their party overall. So they had to make some concessions. If you're not willing to take some risk and vote for some truly left-leaning people, you're not going to really get anywhere. So I say races that are really contested at the moment, I would say Florida. I think Florida would be a blue no matter whose state. Georgia would be a blue no matter whose state, because you're not going to get a super left-leaning guy in those states. So you got Stacey Abrams and Gillum. Both of them are pretty much centrist Democrats. I won't go as far as say neoliberal. No, well, Gillum I think is a neoliberal, but that's still better than the Trumpists you get otherwise. So in those races and races like those, go ahead and vote for the Democrat. So, but I think black people have to really get into some really in-depth political theory, understand political strategy, really look into the different races to know what they should and shouldn't do. So I think that's very important. Well, that's all I got to say on the election. I want to talk about maybe Chris Hedges. So Chris Hedges, he's a journalist, and he did this book called Age of Illusion, and I finished it up about last month. Great book, amazing book. But I've heard some critiques on it. And the biggest critique I heard was that he does a lot of different chapters, but he does one on love, and he goes in on the porn industry. And what he says about the porn industry is that it's based off of violence and misogyny. And he's very much against the porn industry. This guy, Chris Hedges, was in seminary, and he's an ordained minister also, on top of being a journalist. So a lot of people are saying he's very sex negative because he is against the porn industry as it is now. I don't see it that way. What I took from the book was that he was saying that if people had high self-esteem and good psychology, then the type of porn they would watch wouldn't be what you see on the internet as far as BDSM. And there's one genre of porn where the people don't even have sex. They just take the woman's head, put it in a toilet, and flush the toilet. So, like, that's not even, like, sexual. And, these are actually pretty popular porn genres. So the way I took it, my takeaway from it was that because we haven't worked through a lot of, in integral terms, our shadow around sex and around male and female relationships, you're getting a lot of violence-heavy porn. So if you work through that, you'll have porn that is less violent and more equitable for all parties involved. And a lot of the stuff he pointed out is just true. I mean, like he says that STDs can spread easily in the porn industry because even though they get tested every month or every couple of weeks, in even 1 week they could have 20 partners. So it's easy for a disease to spread like that. So yes, it can be caught early, but it still could, propagate. And he brought up a porn star who actually caught a venereal disease. So, I mean, he actually put up somebody you could go back and verify on the internet that they actually did have the venereal disease. So, I mean, you can't really argue with that. But I think Chris Hedges gets a little bit too much criticism. Because, I mean, the man, like I said, he is an ordained minister first, so... waiting for some more people to come on. Well, that's all I got to say for right now.